Dear friends, my name is Alexey Ognev. I welcome you to the webinar of the DigiU ecosystem. And today we are going to talk about on different topics, on different venture startups. And we will try to analyze the operation of our venture capital fund using the successful examples on the market. We already held about 4 webinars in a similar way and discussed companies such as OpenSea, which is a marketplace. We also talked about Revolut, a neobank. We discussed different stages of development of these companies. And along with that, we talked about how our projects are developing. And after this webinar, I got a lot of feedback, so we decided to continue. Last Thursday, we had a very interesting topic. We were talking about valuation of different projects, and I highly recommend to watch it. And also, our founders Boris Povar and Alexander E. shared details on our venture funds projects. First of all, it's EYWA. As you know, there is a EYWA Adventure Quest going on right now. And I encourage you to participate in that activity. It's a great way to support the project because you do the tasks that help test the project, test the product. And all the statistics you provide is followed by other projects, other venture funds, and they're all related to big events such as IDOs, token generation event, and so on. And we are also looking forward to listing of the EYWA token. And there are different platforms where it can happen, such as OKX, Bybit, and so on. So as I said, last week we were talking about valuation process using different methodology. And I want to hold this webinar in a similar format. Today we are also going to look at a successful example of a venture startup. And we will try to determine how much money is needed for a venture startup to launch on the market and then bring the profit. We at the company talked a lot about resources and who in today's world has access to build technological solutions in the fields of artificial intelligence. So that's what we are going to talk about today. And I'm looking forward to your questions on these topics. And I think at the end of this webinar, I will share some more details. Because in just few days, the company will celebrate its 4th birthday. It's a big date, and we can confidently say that we did a tremendous work, and the time flies. But when we look back, when we create some videos about our company, and our birthday is on the 5th of December, but I think we will celebrate it a bit later because we have some important events planned. So it's too early to celebrate. I'm talking about a forum for investors, which will take place in Novosibirsk in December. Also, some investors are planning to come in December. And I think by the day we will celebrate our birthday, we will share some video about our company and about the activities we did. And as I said, listing and token generation event of our first potential unicorn EYWA is coming soon. And I encourage you to participate in all the activities by the EYWA team to increase your chances for these profits and access you want to see yourselves. Because there are dozens of thousands of people who have EYWA tokens in our ecosystem. And soon you will be able to see how much your token's worth. So don't miss out our meetings and the news we publish in our social media. There will also be upgrades in personal account and updates on other projects of our venture fund. Binaryx, SpiritMe. Also, I think next week we will announce the final roadmap for our RWA project with more detailed information, including future steps. So today we are talking about a project in the field of artificial intelligence. And as you know, starting this year, the topic of artificial intelligence became very popular. And these solutions allow to generate text, music, voices, and so on. And the product called ChatGPT became the most popular one. And if you are interested in modern technologies, there is no chance you missed this. And we, as an ecosystem that operates in this field, also mentioned this topic and did some webinars. And our company did some researches on that field. And we dedicated quite a lot of time and effort on these generative services. That's allowed to create different pictures, voices, text. So today we will talk about the company which became very popular, called OpenAI. And we look at it not from the user's perspective, but we look at it from the perspectives of its journey, how much time they needed to become successful. The company was founded in 2015 as a non-commercial organization, and Elon Musk was one of the founders of that company, along with Sam Altman, who is the founder of Y Combinator, and other businessmen from Silicon Valley. So it was founded as a non-commercial organization, and their mission was to develop artificial intelligence. And they wanted artificial intelligence to serve for the humanity and for all the people. And Elon Musk, along with other entrepreneurs and businessmen, said that artificial intelligence can be even more dangerous than nuclear bombs if not applied correctly. And to prevent it, they founded this company called OpenAI. So how much did it cost to launch this kind of company? And the first investment amount was $1 billion. It's a tremendous number for any company and any organization. So that's how they started their development. And the key thing to note here is the names, first of all, like Elon Musk, Sam Altman, and also the amount of investment, $1 billion. Of course, it was not paid as one-time payment, but more as obligations to the company. Also, there was another investment by Y Combinator for $120,000. And only after 3 years, when they launched first commercial products, Microsoft became interested in the company and invested $1 billion. And here you can calculate more or less how much money is needed to launch this kind of product and how much time is required to build these solutions. And we at DigiU started our company in 2019. It was during COVID. And at the same time, OpenAI receives its second $1 billion. And in 4 years, they launch a product called ChatGPT, which allows for some kind of commercial activities. So for the first 8 years, the company didn't show any profit. Of course, they were doing some developments, but there was no profit during these 8 years. So in 2023, the topic of artificial intelligence generative services becomes more and more popular. Which allows for easier content creation, for translation, and for other functionality. That these services provide. And at that time, in 2023, Microsoft announces another deal with OpenAI. They sign a long-term agreement. And based on this agreement, OpenAI could use all the products by Microsoft and use other statistics. And the amount for this agreement was $10 billion. And as I said, apart from the money, Microsoft provides all the services and solutions for OpenAI. And obviously, the main goal for any business is to make a profit. But here the difference is the time frame. So the Microsoft company could plan their strategy for 10 years, and therefore the investment amount was also for 10 years. And here we can conclude that developments in the fields of artificial intelligence require much more resources in terms of funds, in terms of infrastructure resources, and intellectual resources. So this business is only available to governmental structures or big international corporations like Google, Microsoft, that can provide sufficient amount of investments and financing. And if you are interested in this topic, I can invite our CTO, Peter, to discuss it in more detail. So developments in artificial intelligence with the goal to make a profit and launch commercial products available only to certain people. And the business model itself is not really obvious. Because it's not obvious for us as users to pay for this technology. Because we're not sure how artificial intelligence can benefit us. And when I say us, I mean ordinary people. How can artificial intelligence benefit our everyday lives? It's not yet obvious. It's only available to those who develop in this field. For example, us, like Spirit Me product, which allows for digital avatar creation. And let's look at the next slide with different numbers. We can see that there was no profit. For example, in the year of 2022, the company had losses of about $500 million, even though they had some revenue as well. And if we talk about technology startups, we can see similar stories when a company operates with losses for the first few years, and then starts generating profits. It was the same story with bulbs when it took time to become part of everyday lives. Because the price for a bulb was very low, and once it became part of everyday lives for most of the people, the price went up, and thus allowed manufacturers to make profit. And if you go back to OpenAI, today the company's valuation is $80 billion. And if you look at the startups rating, the company is in top 3 in terms of development speed and development growth. It's a tremendous amount, $80 billion. And we can consider that the first investors who invested in the product in 2015 at what valuation they can exit now from this deal, and what profit they can make. And obviously, this amount is about 100 or 1000%. So that's the business model for any venture fund. And we talked about this model for many times. So something is bought at a very early stage, and after some time, when there is a working solution, it is possible to sell it at a higher price. So basically, you just buy cheaper and then sell at a more expensive price. And in the venture market, this profit can be hundreds or even thousands %. In our ecosystem, we have these 2 main directions that we began with: artificial intelligence and blockchain. And the primary difference is that artificial intelligence requires a lot of resources. And we saw it ourselves. While the blockchain field requires a lot less resources. And the speed of commercialization in the blockchain industry is much higher. That's why we have EYWA with so many partnerships. And that's why we invest in such projects as Binaryx, for example. And that's why we dedicate our time and effort to this field, to our RWA project, and the potential we see in this market. So for us, as a commercial organization, which doesn't have these big funds like $1 billion, and now our goal is to commercialize these products in a clear, understandable market and assure that we have stable profit, stable revenue, and stable development. And in terms of the strategy, if we look at 5 to 10 years ahead, we can confidently say that this speed of developing products in 6 months is a correct way of growth and development. So that's why our goal for the next 6 months is to successfully close the financing rounds and launch these projects on the market. And therefore test this model for making profit from this project. And if everything goes as we planned, we will have several more potential unicorns apart from EYWA. So these are the main points I wanted to communicate to you. When we talk about RWA projects, including banking sector, is the field where we see a huge potential. And those who follow our social media, I recommend you to watch the posts there related to evolution of the banking sector, what types of banking products there are, and we do a lot of research on these topics. And to make sure that the launch stage the stage of launching this project is clear and understandable to you. We started these funding rounds. And you can receive shares of these projects only as a gift by purchasing DigiU shares that allow you to become co-owners of all the products of the ecosystem, including venture capital funds, products, EYWA, basically all the products within the ecosystem. And today is the 30th of November. And tomorrow, everyone participated in the first stage of financing will receive another distribution. And if you made any purchase from the 11th of November until the 30th of November, you will receive the shares of RWA projects. But you still have time until the 10th of December to make any payment for DigiU shares, including installments and one-time payments, to receive shares of our RWA projects. In the future, the requirements will be higher because we understand that we need a lot of resources for the development of both projects. And our aim is to close the pre-seed round in about $1 million for each project. So our goal is to provide this financing for both of the projects. So hurry up. You don't need to do anything. You just need to make any payment for installments or one-time payment to be able to receive shares of our RWA project. Will it be possible? I see a question. Will it be possible to take out loans and use other services in the RWA bank? Yes, I believe we will provide these services and these opportunities. For example, recently we discussed the topic of scoring of clients. And for any bank, the main objective is not to give out money, but to make sure to get this money back. That's why the scoring process is so important. And I believe we can combine the blockchain technology with the technologies of traditional banks they use for scoring process. So our goal is to make sure to launch the RWA bank and provide the possibility of taking out loans and mortgages. I think it's the right way in terms of marketing. And I really want to have DigiU users as first users of the RWA bank, because we can trust them. So I can say that we have already solved some issues in terms of technology, security. We still have some questions and issues on the legal side because they require some time and effort. But it's a very important site for our projects. And since the field of our real-world assets is very new, it's a very complicated process. And to minimize risks for us and for our potential users, it is important to take into account all the legal sides. We need to consider all the regions we plan to operate in and all the types of deals we are planning to conduct. I can see a point of view in 5-10 years. The market will not be relevant. And do you consider it? Do you consider this issue? I can both agree and disagree with this opinion. And when I communicate with different companies and different people, I can see a lot of opinions and points of view. But I think most importantly, we need to consider different perspectives. So here you say that there is no potential for these projects because there will be no international market for this product. But even if you take different regions or countries, they can be considered as potential markets themselves. don't say that our product will be relevant and essential for all the people in all regions of the world. For example, Facebook was first launched in the USA, and only after some time they launched in other countries. Same story with startups in India, for example. If a startup is relevant and successful in India, doesn't mean that it will be successful and popular in African countries. And for our products, I can confidently say that there will be enough markets for us with huge potential. And there are always two sides. For example, if you talk about CBDC, central bank digital currencies, there are too many questions about them. We can say that central banks in many countries are developing this in this direction. But at the same time, we can see that another side is also developing. There will be also a demand for real estate, and the goals of technologies is to decrease expenses in different industries. For example, a while ago, to transfer money, you would have to fill out some forms, wait for a few days. Now it works with just a single click. And when I was visiting countries in Asia and Africa, I met a lot of people who really want to have these kind of products and technologies. And we can provide the supply for these people. And that's why I think that venture market is the most suitable one, especially with the exit strategy. I can say question, when will the RWA bank launch? As I said, we set a goal to ourselves starting from November. We plan to launch the first version within 6 months. I think it will not be a complete bank. It will just have some functionality of banks, like mortgages, loans, deposits. So that's the functionality we plan to launch. And then we can think of different directions for development, like insurance, brokers. And if you look at any bank, there are different divisions, different departments responsible for each direction. And by having this infrastructure inside our ecosystem, we can guarantee a constant development for our company. I don't see any questions. Let's look at the slide one more time. Today is the last day. And if you haven't participated yet, the right decision would be to make a payment today to get allocation in this stage, and also make a payment before the 10th of December to participate in the second distribution too. I can see another question. It's profitable for a company, for a bank, to provide loans for apartments. And at early stages, it will be beneficial because the company should try to minimize risks all the time. I think in 1 week, we will hold a more detailed webinar with Alexander E. on RWA project, and will present the financial model we've been creating for the past few months. Thank you for your questions and your time. Share this webinar with your partners and give feedback on the Telegram chats.